Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the financial system and basically what we have started the discussion over foreign investments, right? These are the topics we have scheduled for the discussion under this particular series, like the foreign direct investments, foreign institutional investments, foreign portfolio investments, right? We have been discussing on the foreign direct investment since last few lectures. The topics we are left with are the foreign institutional investments and the foreign portfolio investments. Okay, so basically we will continue from where we had left in the previous lecture, like the trends and the source countries for FDI we had discussed. All right, so here before going further, you are required to tell me the sequence of FDI in India. What are the top 5 countries? Okay, and second is top 4 foreign trade partners. Okay, so you are required to tell me the answer for these two questions. For this, I am providing you 20 seconds to think and answer, then I will give you the answer. So your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. The time's up. So the correct answer is, for the one, is Singapore, Mauritius, USA, Netherlands, and Japan. These are the top 5 companies which having the FTA investments in India. Thereafter, next is the top 4 foreign trade countries: USA, China, Russia, UAE. Okay, these are the top 4 trading partners. Okay, so keep this thing in your mind. Thereafter, government initiatives to boost FDI in India. The Indian government has introduced several initiatives to further enhance FDI inflows into the country, including easing FDI norms, simplify regulatory processes, and offering incentives and concession to attract foreign investors. All right. Government also focused on improving the infrastructure, ease of doing businesses, and intellectual property rights protection to create a more conducive environment for the FDI. So here we have got a new term which we call as a intellectual property rights. Okay. Intellectual property rights. Now you are required to tell me what do you mean by the IPR or the intellectual property. Okay, just think about it. Whatever comes to your mind, just keep this thing. For this, I am providing 20 seconds, then I will provide you the answer. And your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. The time's up. So basically, if we talk about the intellectual property, intellectual property, then it could be anything which has been developed by using human mind or human intelligence is called as an intellectual property. Okay. Anything which has been developed by using human mind or the human intelligence is called as an intellectual property. Okay. Like if we take an example of it. So we all know about corona or the COVID. Okay. So what was that? That was a virus, right? And we know in the year of 2020 how much destruction that particular virus had caused to us, right? So basically, you know that during the COVID time, basically we were searching for the vaccine. Okay, the vaccine which could be given to the people so that the spreading of the corona or the COVID could be controlled. Yes, that was our main aim. Okay, and during this time, you know that vaccines like the Covaxin and Covishield, all right, these type of vaccines have been developed in India, right? So what are these? These are the vaccination, right? And these are basically the products. Okay, and these products basically developed by the Indian companies like Serum Institute and you can say Bharat Pharmaceuticals. Okay, these are the companies which have developed these products. All right, for this they had to employ their research and development team. Okay, R&D, the human source which they were holding, or you can say the particular research and development team which they were holding, the team was doing the research. Okay, and throughout the findings of the research they were developing something, and the result is the Covaxin on the Covishield. So if we connect this with the definition I have written down here, it means that anything which has been developed by using human mind, okay, and the human intelligence. Like when the team of the companies were doing the research and development, they were using the human mind or the human intelligence. Okay, so the product which they have developed, this is known as the intellectual property. Okay, so if I hope that you have understood the intellectual property. Now the case of the IPR, or you can call them as a intellectual property rights. Okay, so basically if we talk about the IPR, also we call them as a intellectual property rights. Then IPR is a, you can say, protection given to the developer of intellectual property, okay, so that no one other could develop the same thing by using the blueprint or reverse mechanism. Okay, So the intellectual property rights is basically the protection given to the developer of the intellectual property so that no one other could develop the same thing by using the blueprint or the reverse mechanism. For example, you could say, suppose if the company has developed something, and you could say that the R&D team or the research and development team having 20 people. Okay, out of these 20 people, for example, 4 people had left the organization or the company. Okay, and these 4 people has joined other company. So they were in the team which was developing the Covaxin and the Covishield. So there are high chances that these peoples will be aware about the procedure through which the Covishield and the Covaxin could be prepared. So what if they tell this to the next company? Like suppose they were working in the A R&D team, they had gone through some process and they were the part of development team. And when they left the company A and joined company B, so what if they will leak the information to company B? All right, the company B will produce the same thing as the company A, and what will happen that you can see the business which the company A could brought to it will be affected, because now that is not the only seller but B will also. All right, so this is the blueprint leak. Second is the reverse mechanism. Like suppose someone has purchased the bottle of Covaxin and the Covishield from the market, okay, and then start doing research on it and find out the composition, okay, and if the composition has been leaked, then there are chances that the person who had bought the thing could manufacture the same thing through the reverse mechanism. It means that all the things put together to form one thing, then one thing diverted, so all the things could be come out, analyze all the things, then put it together in some another thing. This is called the reverse mechanism. All right, so that's why the IPR and the intellectual property rights provided that no one outsider of that R&D team is allowed to leak the blueprint and do the reverse mechanism and produce the same thing as the thing was produced by the original developer. Okay, so basically in India, what the government tried, that the government ensured that the IPR protection. Okay, it means that if any foreign company came to India and sell out the products which they had developed through the investment into their R&D, development and research. Okay, so their investment should not be go into the vain. It means that if someone got an access to that product, the person could leak the blueprint and through the reverse mechanism could produce the same thing. So what will happen that the you can say the uniqueness of that product will be affected. Thereafter, what we have the FDI role and the implications in India. Okay, like first role is FDI as a source of money for the India's economic development. Foreign direct investment plays a crucial role in India's economic development by providing a significant source of capital. When the foreign companies invest in Indian businesses, they bring in funds that can be used for various purposes, such as expanding operations, upgrading technology, and creating new infrastructure. This influx of capital not only stimulates, okay, that's it. So now come to here. Okay, so what is saying that the foreign companies in India, they bring funds that can be used for various purposes, such as expanding operations, upgrading technology, and creating new infrastructure. For example, if we go with the previous one example, so there was a concept of acquiring already established business or ventures. Okay, acquiring already established business or the ventures. All right. So suppose if this is the company XYZ, this is the company ABC. All right. So when the XYZ, which is the foreign entity, and this is the Indian company. So when the foreign entity will buy the Indian company or acquire the Indian company, then there will be some shifts also. Like they will spend so that they could expand the operation as per their needs. Okay. They could upgrade the technology. Okay. And they could create a new infrastructure. Okay. Which is not only for their benefit, but also for the economic benefit as a whole. All right. Thereafter, this influx of capital not only stimulates economic growth, but also helps in job creation and overall development of the country. Okay, like you can say, if we talk about the economic growth, then what do you mean by this? First of all, okay, like economic growth here signifies the GDP growth. Okay, for GDP growth, first of all, we just recall the GDP, gross domestic product or the production. Okay, so what is the GDP? So GDP in general is basically the total value of goods and services produced in a country by either you can say national or foreigners during a certain period of time. So it is basically the total value of goods and services produced in a country by either nationals or the foreigners during a certain period of time. Okay, so you could say, suppose if there are total 1,000 units were producing and the final price of the units will 1,000 also. So what is the GDP? 10 lakh will be the GDP. Okay, but this number is fixed. Why? Because there are limited entities, right? And this number could only be increased by only two ways. The first way is that the entities which producing the 1,000 units will increase their you can say the production and all. Second is that new entities must enter into the you can say existed entities. So here we are taking the case of second one. It means that the foreign entities are also participating and coming to the India. It means that the production level will be goes up. Now 4,000 units at 1,000. What is the price? What will the price? The price will be 40 lakh. How much the GDP previously? 10 lakh. How much is it? 40 lakhs. It means that 4 times higher. Okay. That's how the production and the economic growth goes up through the FDI. Okay. Second thing which we could see here is the job creation. Job creation means like when the outsider, you can say, establish their business units and the outlets in India. So what they will do, they will require a labor force for production, right? and this labor force will be provided mostly through the locals or domestic population. It means that there will be a job creation also. Okay, so now I hope that you have got an idea that why this influx of capital is not only stimulates the economic growth but also provides a job creation. By the job creation will providing the living standards of people will also grow. When the people's living standard will grow, what will happen? They will start spending. When the spending will grow, the money circulation will grow. When the money circulation will grow, what will happen? The investments and earning of manufacturers will also grow, and that will lead us to the overall development of the country. Got it? Thereafter, growing private businesses in India. Foreign companies often invest in the fast growing private businesses in India to capitalize on the country's dynamic business environment and relatively lower wage cost compared to the developed countries. Okay, so by investing in these businesses, the foreign companies can benefit from the growth potential of the Indian market and gain access to the large consumer base. Okay, for example, we could understand, suppose if this is an XYZ. Okay, this is an foreign company, right? And if this is an ABC, this is an Indian company. All right. So what is happening? That as we had discussed, there are always two chances. Make new venture or acquired already established ventures. And third was make partnership with already existed ventures. Okay. So basically, when we talk about this scenario, then basically we are talking about these two conditions. Okay, like XYZ will get two chances, that whether they have to acquire the ABC or they have to make the partnership with the already existed venture. It means the ABC, because if the ABC is you can say usually growing, it means that the consumer base and the reputation of ABC in the market will also be enhancing. Okay, so that's benefit will be directly transferred to the XYZ if the XYZ invest, and by this you can also conclude that growth potential of the Indian market, which is to be aligned with the success gaining by the ABC, will be hand over to the XYZ, and XYZ will also get an access to the large consumer base. Okay, so students, basically in this lecture we have discussed till here. In the next lecture we will continue from here. Till then, just revise all the facts and figures we have discussed in this lecture. Be ready for the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture, and what do we say? We say thank you.